Hi guys, I'm back with another video, and today I wanted to share with you some spooky book recommendations that will be perfect for this fall/Halloween season. So let's get started. The first book that I want to recommend is actually a book I finished reading today, and I gave it 4.5 stars, and that is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Like I said, I gave it 4.5 stars, which means I enjoyed it a lot. This book is told from two perspectives. The first one is that of Maggie, a woman whose father had written a book about a haunted house they used to live in, or at least her parents claimed it was haunted, but she doesn't really remember anything about that time because she was basically 5 years old when all of that happened. And like I said, there are two perspectives, so we follow Maggie and we follow the book that her dad had written. So we follow the things that had happened when she was 5 years old. They are told not from her perspective, but from her father's perspective, the way he described it in the book. But whenever she asked about the events that happened in the book, her parents were like kind of reluctant to talk about it. So she's been living thinking that everything about the book was fake. But then again, like I said, her parents weren't really eager to talk about anything that happened in the house. So she just was not sure. And now that her father has passed away and she's inherited the house, she decides to go back there, saying that she just wants to renovate it in order to sell it. But actually her second goal is to find out the truth about what had happened and what was the reason, what made their family flee from the house all those years ago. So this is the first book that I read by Riley Sager, but I have to say I was really impressed. So especially all the plot twists. This book was just full of twists and turns, and it was like when I thought I already have all the answers, suddenly I was hit with another plot twist. So it was like really a crazy journey, and it was also quite chilly and spooky, and I just have to say I loved it, even though it had gone in a completely different direction that I had expected. But it is a very well written thriller, and I would highly recommend it. The next book that I want to recommend is 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. So this book was another 4.5 star read, and I loved it so much. It was actually very close to 5 stars. It was amazing. So in this book we follow a group of friends who go on like a trip in a van, but it ends up breaking down in the middle of nowhere. But soon they realize that it wasn't just an accident and they were trapped there, and there is a sniper out there who wants them dead. So they are basically stuck in this small RV and they cannot get out, and in order to survive they need to find out all the different secrets that they are hiding, and they need to figure out which of the secrets is the one that the sniper wants. So it's pretty intense, and while reading it I really felt like I was with them inside of that van, which was terrifying. And it's just such a good thriller. I could not put it down. If you want a good YA thriller, I definitely recommend this one. The ending was also pretty shocking, so I love this book so much. The next book that I want to recommend is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden, and this one is a very popular book, so you might have heard about it. But Basically, it's about a girl named Millie who is struggling a lot financially. She basically lives in her car and she's in desperate need of a job. So when she's offered a job as a live-in housemaid for a very rich couple, obviously it seems like a perfect offer, so she accepts it. But soon she realizes that the family is keeping some dark secrets and they're not as normal as they had seemed at first. This book just gave me a very unsettling feeling throughout. It was really chilling and unsettling. It's like perfect spooky read. I loved it so much. Some people might say like the plot twist is predictable, although I personally hadn't predicted it. But I think it's not just about like, oh my gosh, like this plot twist was so shocking. It is a psychological thriller, so I think like the psychological aspect of it is very interesting. Like I said, nonetheless it's very unsettling and spooky, so I think that's why I also gave this one 4.5 stars and I loved it so much. The next book that I want to recommend is another book by Holly Jackson, Good Girls Guide Murders. This one is actually a series, but I have to say the last book, it's a trilogy actually, and the last book was a little bit disappointing, but nonetheless, overall I do really like the series, and especially the first book was a 5-star read for me, so I loved it so much. So this first book in this trilogy, in this book we follow Pip, who is a high school student, and as her final project she decides to re-examine a closed murder case because she thinks that even though it's a closed case, she believes that the person who murdered this girl might be innocent, so she decides to re-examine it, and she just finds out the town's many dark secrets, and the ending was shocking as well. And also I loved Pip and Ravi's relationship. They are so cute together. So this was a 5-star read for me. I loved it so much. So maybe I'll also talk about the second book in this trilogy. This one I gave 4 stars. I still enjoyed it a lot. I just feel like it wasn't as gripping as the first one, but it was still really good. So this time Pip is not examining any murder cases. She's basically set on trying to find Jamie, who is her friend's brother, and he's gone missing. And while trying to find him, she uncovers so many different secrets and there's so many plot twists. It's also a really amazing thriller that I highly recommend. Okay, and the last book that I have to recommend for you is If We Were Villains. So this one I gave 4 stars, but I feel like it has the perfect fall vibes, like spooky vibes. It is classified as dark academia, but also like a mystery thriller. In this book, we follow a group of friends who are all theater students and they do Shakespeare plays. And so far, they've always been given similar roles, but this last semester, some of them were given slightly different roles, which kind of changed the power within the group, and it caused tension both on stage and off stage, and that kind of led to some really bad incident. And yeah, this book in general, it's spooky, but it's also very sad and heart-wrenching, but I did enjoy it a lot, so all I can say is that I highly recommend it. I just thought of one more book that I could recommend, and that is The Overnight Guest. So in this book we follow a true crime writer who decides to temporarily live in a farmhouse in order to finish writing her book, and suddenly there's a snowstorm, so she cannot really go anywhere else, or she cannot really go outside, but she ends up finding a child near her house, and the child doesn't really speak anything to her, so she cannot ask him any questions, but she just presumes there must have been an accident. So she goes outside in order to find maybe the car that has crashed, or anyone that might have been together with the child, because she basically lives in an isolated place, so it's not really possible for the child to have gone to her house, especially in that weather. While she's looking for anyone who might have been together with that child, she discovers some very disturbing things that are connected with her past as well. And this book is told from 3 different points of view that first may seem unrelated, but they really come together in the end in like a very neat way. So I really enjoyed that thriller a lot. I gave it 4 stars, and it definitely does have some spooky vibes. Okay guys, so I think that is it for this video. Let me know your spooky book recommendations in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.